February 12th, 7:02, call the meeting to order. We have no alternates to seat, so we're gonna jump over that. Just to note, Mark and Rob have gotten sworn in, so they're official.
Rob, what's your last name?
Shapp, SCHAPP.
So I don't know, Rick, you had sent out expenditures and actuals and overages report.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that popped and is really the planning and zoning attorney's fees we were talking about.
Yeah.
We actually got another 4,000 for last month, so that's gonna go up another 4,000, so.
So it's already 4,000 over, right?
Yeah, so it's gonna be 8. Now, the good news is he doesn't work as many hours, so he's gonna have some extra money in his accounts. I don't know if I'll be surprised if he can cover it all, but this litigation's not close to being done.
It's gonna go into next year. Next fiscal year.
So we just gotta watch. I mean, last month was a high activity. I don't know what's going on this month. I do see him on Wednesdays, but it'll probably be next week to see,
Okay,
what's still going, is this gonna be a slow month or not?
right. And what about the other line items and P and Z?
Um,
So are they gonna blow through their budget?
No, you're talking about plan and zoning?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, supplies is something that they buy. It's a group of 3 departments in one room. So when they use stuff, they all have to split the costs, and everyone, actually once every couple of years, something big has to be bought, like toner, and
right.
it causes that to be an issue. What's the other one? He's over in dues or something?
No.
It's not pulled up, so I can't really see what I'm.
Postage, it looks like, and
Yeah,
supplies.
postage.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure what he bought in postage. What drove that line to be over. But I think as far as those lines go, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much done with those. It's really the big one's gonna be the legal fees. I don't think any of those are gonna go over a certain, way over. It's really the legal fees that we're just gonna have to see where it ends up.
Okay, well, what I was getting at was, there's a bunch of line items in their budget. Is the entire budget going over or just? a
Yeah, I
couple
think,
lines?
no, so if you go to the other get off this one. I mean, unless you have other questions here,
No, the other ones
everything else
look
is
like
stuff.
they're just minimal overages,
Yeah, I think,
like $300, $85.
yeah. If you want to go to if you want to go to the expenditure report, we can look at his total budget.
This one,
Yeah, I mean, his legal fees, it says it's $4,040 over.
Already, so it's really 8,000 right now.
yeah,
You're gonna pop it out of contingency probably.
right, well, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Go a little, I
Yeah.
think he's a higher. I think he's 5,900.
So.
Go up one more page.
Yeah, like town planner, he's got 4,200 in there. He's got like 1,800 in legal notices left.
Yeah, and also if you look at his payroll, so we're already into February and he's only at 41%.
Yeah,
So he's gonna have some money there. He's not, I mean, I don't foresee us having to go town meeting or anything like that.
okay.
The planner will get used up, I'm sure, with the
Yeah, she's,
normal and she's.
Yeah.
but
So is-
again, I think we're gonna have some good
20
news.
grand over?
Yeah.
We're
So,
not until
Before the end of the budget, are we looking at last month and this month? Is this cumulative? So every month we're looking at $4,000 or is it just
No.
one-offs?
No, we don't know. Again, I got the January bill and it's $4,000.
I
So,
mean, for the legal expenses themselves.
We're
Yeah,
hoping that's it for this year, or next year,
Well-
push the rest of it to next year, right? Is that what you're saying, Tom?
No, I mean, you're still waiting on a bill that you gotta put in, right,
Yeah,
Rick?
yeah, well, no, I have it. It's just, it's
Yeah.
gonna be in February.
So we
Yeah.
know
Yes.
it's over, we won't know how much
Until,
we know how much.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's probably gonna be,
So just in a scenario, say it came
Yeah.
up to $20,000 before next, can we take it out of contingency and then push it to the next year so we don't have to go to town vote?
No,
You can't split it.
I don't think so.
No, no, if anything that gets incurred before,
That's for this year.
Okay,
Before June-
alright.
July first.
Yeah.
by June
Yeah.
30th, 25, I have to put it in. But like I said, for him to go over, his legal fee line item would have to be over 30, probably about 32,000 to be over 20 grand.
Yeah.
Because he's
Right.
gonna have at least 5,000-6,000 in payroll.
Cause he's gotta go over 20,000 in budget, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, in total budget.
Okay.
And they're looking at, probably some end to this because they are only asking for another 5,000 for next year's legal
Yeah,
on top of the 6,000 they have now.
okay.
So there must be some end in sight on this.
Is that our town attorney or the planning and zoning attorney?
Burn the land use.
You think he gave you that proposal, or he gave the proposal before he put that additional amount in?
I don't know. He's had his proposal in probably for a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
that's, I mean, they talk with the attorney, see how the case is going, what to expect. You know, it's gonna end. It's just a matter of when, but
Yeah, it's gonna change our 3-year outlook and how we balance our 3-year running outlook for how we do the budgets anyway. It's gonna change it, but
Yeah.
But it's always what it is. It's not
yeah, it just
something
hasn't
we
been
can
crazy
act
in a couple of years, so.
with. No, we haven't been in a lawsuit in a couple of years, but then they go up and then they go away and then, so we don't really.
Okay.
Move on to the next item, selectmen's update.
oh, me.
That would be you,
Uh,
last time I looked.
and I don't know if, you know, Tracy and Scott have, please jump in if you feel anything I'm saying is incorrect. And Scott, I'm sorry, I didn't have this document ready in time to get on the website. And you can't share it. So yesterday, myself, Greg Lacava, Todd Carasulo, Rick and Dave Capoletti, we met here to talk about mostly about the Region 6, because we've been hearing all these different numbers. We saw the audit, and who owes what and to whom, and, you know, we really wanted to like kind of get that down on paper so we know exactly where we're at.
Perfect.
Because obviously,
What was that, Scott?
No, it's perfect. That was gonna be one of my questions. Like, we're gonna sit down to like hash this out so we have an exact number or ballpark-ish.
right, so we.
Kinda do.
We did that with Dave yesterday, and what it came down to is what Region 6 owes is $381,000 to various vendors. And $202,000 for town of Litchfield for the costs associated with the shared services agreement. And I also told him, I said, we need to really see some sort of receipts on this. What are you talking about? And he did have some idea of what some of the costs were, tuition, transportation, things like that. Could be special education bills that always come in later after the year ends. So these are audited numbers that he came up with. The big one, which I spoke probably 7-8 months ago at the Board of Ed meeting, is the pension.
Right.
The Region 6
Yeah.
pension. And just to stay even right now, we'd have to put in $458,000. This is the 3 towns, $458,000 every year, unless, you know, perhaps a retiree drops out for whatever reason, you know, death. Then it may go down, but it's so poorly funded right now. They only have about 3 years left of money if we don't fund it at all. There's about $856,000 still left in the account for that. So that's something that's gonna follow us obviously for many years. We have to figure out how to handle it. And I really feel more comfortable if this would be in the 3 towns' hands and not Region 20's hands. It's really has nothing to do with them. They did put money in the budget for it, but I don't think they can legally fund that pension. I don't think they have the right to, the legal statutory right to. So
Sorry to interrupt, but how's Litchfield handling their pension?
Feels way different.
they'll be paying it. But it was interesting, though, I think on the back page, I looked at the expenditure report that I received quite a while back from Tom Ariola. And in the budget there for pension district was 150,000. I'm assuming that's Region 6. And
Mhm.
town pension Litchfield, $180,000.
Right,
I don't know what they're doing with that money. Are they gonna put it towards the pensions? Or is it gonna get kind of washed into something
but
else?
where is it? Where did it go, or how did it get spent? I have no idea.
Or is it still there and, you know,
Scott, does these line items look familiar to you?
It's,
Because-
it was still, I'm pretty sure it's still there.
Okay, so it's still there right now,
I don't know what their intention is with those
but that
funds.
shouldn't be there then, because the 24,
Yeah.
25 or is that start the pension this year?
There's a pension,
Um,
a separate line item for 250,000 for the Region 20.
Correct.
Pension.
So this pension district, 150, and town pension, 180. That should go back to 6 and
Is it
region.
six
and Litchfield.
specific, or is that
Well,
just?
no, one is 6 and one is
Litchfield.
Litchfield.
So
But
you should, if you see that line item, then maybe just disperse the three towns on that percentage based ratio, so we could knock a little off of that
I
340.
don't know what they're doing with that,
Well, that's a good question
Um,
for, Region 20.
so.
Yeah.
So are we done now? Cause when they started this whole pension thing, the mystery of the pensions was. Nobody knew how they got from one pension to Region 20, like how did they get from the two pensions they had to Region 20? Is it absolutely new or did
Yeah,
they vest?
kinda
Yeah,
like-
no, it's kind of new.
Did they vest people like, cause this is gonna go over that retirement thing, just on a side note, like if you worked at Region 6 for 20 years, did they bring that over?
No,
No,
stop.
no, it stops, Tracy. It's like basically you switch jobs. Just imagine you move to a
Yeah.
different, you move to a new
Yeah,
job and you got a
Right,
new
but
pension.
So what's the, so
It's
does that
closed.
change the seniority on 20? Is everybody starting on the same playing field?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a method to my madness here.
No, I know, I know where you're going.
Different employer.
But wait, Scott, what we said, you know what I'm saying though, right?
Mhm.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
No, I do. Yeah, they clearly based, and I mean, it must have come in with seniority in terms of the new union contract. I mean, I'd have to reread that part of it, how it came, but
Scott, my understanding is that when Region 20 started, all the teachers had to sort of quit their jobs and reapply
yeah,
under.
but they,
Region- so they
correct.
couldn't work for Region 6 or Litchfield anymore.
Exactly. No, you're right, Kip. But they're coming in based on sort of where they were stepwise. It's not like they're all coming in as like first year teachers. They're coming in basically, they're hired back at whatever step they were at Litchfield or Region 6.
Right, that's their employment, but I don't know
Correct.
that that transfers over to pension. Like,
But I
I
think
I assume there's,
Oh.
if we kind of look at our own town, right, there's fire department people that have stayed on from the previous fire department.
Yeah, but everybody in the fire department's in year 1, year 2, year 3. That's, my question was actually maybe not. In all fairness, was going towards something else. I didn't know Scott knew the answer.
No, I know
Well,
it's worth clarifying, but Tom, why don't you go on? Now, hey, Tom,
Yeah.
those three amounts that you gave, the 381, 230 and the 202, that's divided by 3, or is that our obligation, Morris's?
Well, I have how it's divided out too.
Okay.
It's divided by 3.
I sent it to your phone.
So
Okay.
the, for the vendors that Region 6 owes, our portion would be, is it 33.44%?
Or 120.
No, we were, was it 33? Yeah, 33.44. So we're 127,407 for the vendors that
Right.
we owe from Region 6. Morris
Okay.
owes $67,326 to Litchfield.
Right.
Our portion of the pension and benefits, because there's life insurance that's added to that. That's
Right.
getting
Yeah.
burned up, health insurance that's added to that. Our portion for this year, if to stay even, is 153,156. Obviously, that's gonna vary. So that's a total for this year of 347,889 plus or minus
Right.
for the current fiscal year. Like Rick said earlier, we got that, was it 175,000, Rick, back from Region?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not in the budget. It came in after. It wasn't part of revenue. So that money, fortunately, is sitting there to help possibly
Mhm.
offset this.
But we still
Yeah.
have
Yeah, you still have more to, and, you know,
Right.
here we got stuff coming down the pipe.
So the 175 doesn't cover the 347.
No, but you know, you could do 175 and kind of pay off that one-time vendor and Litchfield payment, be done with it.
Yes, we could.
Mhm.
That would be nice. And obviously the pension we're gonna have, it's gonna be in our budget, I imagine.
You're saying the
Forever.
future pension is gonna be,
153,000 plus or minus every year.
Every year.
Every year. Well, we
Actually, it's
also-
gonna be more than that. I mean, I don't wanna sound like Debbie
Go
Downer,
ahead.
but you can't just, so right now, the benefits paid out is $384,000.
Right,
Just the current
Gotcha.
people. So if you take 384 times it by 33%, if you only put in exactly what you're paying out, you're never gonna get vested above the 20-30% you are
Right.
now. You gotta,
Mhm.
But
we're probably gonna have to
also-
put in 250 so that something can get invested to try to offset and make some money, because if we just try to stay flat, we'll get
Yeah,
crushed.
but we are not in this alone, so how is this working? Like, I mean, we can decide to do whatever, but that doesn't mean that Goshen and Warren are gonna decide that, and I think.
Well, that's where we have to probably have an interlocal agreement, with the three towns on
Yeah.
how to deal with this pension.
Right.
Who's
Yeah.
gonna run this pension? I mean, is there?
And
gonna be
that's,
Still being discussed, so I mean, in some ways,
we're getting nothing from, I don't know who's, because apparently according to State Board of Ed, Region 6 did stop on June 30th, July 1st. They're done.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
do anymore. They
So-
thought they were gonna be able to continue on. They can't. So now we have to figure out who legally has the ability to help manage this pension
Well,
on
somebody has
behalf
to
of Region
manage it.
6.
can Region 20 take them on as a subset on a pension?
I-
or-
I don't even wanna consider that, really.
Yeah, no.
20
Where
doesn't,
we're at.
Region 20 can't handle what they're doing now. let
But-
them in.
Under state statute, the member towns have the obligation to deal with the outstanding liabilities of a region that has closed down. So.
Mhm.
And the
back
only
to the
way that
three
goes
towns.
away is through attrition,
Well,
people passing.
Or can
yeah,
you do a buyout?
you talk,
You can
we're
do
doing
it.
something with a or an insurance company, and what was David mentioned yesterday, Rick?
About the people who get
Annuity.
benefits.
You can do
Yeah.
an annuity.
I mean,
Yeah.
He said that's gonna be about $78,000 a year forever. He don't think that's gonna go higher,
Yeah.
but still 78,000,
Yeah.
33%, another, that's $25,000 a
Oh,
year
you're talking about the benefits.
for these
Yeah.
benefits, not including the pension. I mean, I
They
think,
could go away.
Yeah,
'cause
I mean-
Someone will age out of, medical benefits.
I mean,
exactly, but compared to, I mean, I think what we have to really understand is what's our options as far as, what's the
Yeah.
one-time cost for an annuity? Do you bond the annuity, go out and bond? And again, I mean, it's way too early to throw out all the different things.
Yeah.
We need to understand what the total cost is and see what's the quickest way to get
Yeah.
rid of it. Because if you maintain it, some of these people are young, and again, this has nothing to do with teachers. This is like the custodians and
Right,
even
But
if,
now,
paraprofessionals.
question.
Yeah.
Say you were, you might not even know the answer, but let's say you worked for a company and you had like a pension. And the company is no more. So how, I mean, is there any way to get out of this instead of this going on in perpetuity? Because you have Region 6. I guess Region 6 the three towns have to come to an agreement that everybody can live with for the next 30 years.
It's
yeah,
not-
so
Well,
I think,
We end it, is there
Yeah.
any? Huh?
It's not a bankruptcy, I mean, you have to honor their.
Yeah.
pension all-
yeah, I mean,
You
I
want-
almost, oops.
Yeah, 20 years from now, who's running this?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, I
who-
think what you have to do is, I would think you'd have to have develop a pension committee, have members from each town on that. And honestly, you probably want a third party outside administrator, just as sort of like not overlord who's like, but that's,
Overseeing it. We need to actually, need somebody to
Impartial,
manage it,
you need an impartial
yeah,
manager.
like
I
we
mean,
have
that's
the
what-
actuary.
So it's gonna be a continuing mill bump for a long time. It's gonna be on our books for a long time.
Well, unless there's some other way of buying it out.
Unless it's a way of buying
Yeah.
out, what I was getting to.
As
Like,
long
it
as there's
needs to
not a
be-
percentage, yeah, depends on the math, right? Does it make sense, or do you pay it off incrementally over time?
And I think that's where all three towns have to agree, you can't do
Like,
anything,
I don't know what it would be, but let's just say it's $1 million, does,
three towns bond for a million,
Yeah, that would
and then you're done?
1.3.
maybe.
No,
That's what I mean, it's not really a Morris decision, it's gotta be a Morris, Warren and Goshen decision together, cause I don't think one town can say, I mean, you know. Goshen comes in and says, well, we wanna double fund it this year, and then 20
Well-
years from now, we go, I don't know where you double fund it, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a long-term thing that whatever we do now is gonna be handed down to somebody else.
So Region 6 is all on us and the three towns, right? Has
Yep.
nothing to do with Region 20.
No.
So you're saying, Tom, you, Litchfield, Warren and Goshen, all the selectmen are getting together.
Well,
figuring
this
it
goes
out.
on their own, cause it's a town thing, right?
Yeah, Litchfield has their own pension.
No, I'm sorry, I meant the three towns.
Yep.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
three towns, you guys will hash it out, you'll give us a number
Well,
or a
we-
proposal.
We have to talk to, obviously, the attorneys, see what is legal in all this, what we can actually do. I threw it out there yesterday about the interlocal agreement. It makes sense, you know, with the three towns to come
Yeah.
together, form a pension committee. Have an advisor like we do for our
Yeah.
pension, committee. And, to manage it. And so but we need to have a little more communication with whoever's dealing with this at Region 20, which
Well, and.
was Tom Ariola, which I'm not sure if he's still there. or-
No, he is there until the end of the year.
So can
Oh,
our
is it?
current,
Yeah.
can the current pension committee take that on?
Uh,
That we currently have for the
I
firefighters?
think they were formed for a specific purpose,
Okay.
Yeah,
for
This
the
is the
pension that they're
charter.
managing right now.
right.
And,
I mean, we
you
could
know,
use the same investment guy,
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we would have to have new leadership. Cause I think other towns are gonna wanna say on it too, because
oh, yeah.
Goshen
Yeah.
has a lot more issues than.
I think
that's
Hunter's,
exactly
Hunter's
original.
question was, I'm sure each town has their own pension commission. Can this be an additional pension?
Can you recharter it if they are specifically for firefighters or the town
But
employees?
how do you get them all, do you take the 6 people from every town and
Well,
make
you'd
it
have-
16 or an 18-person board?
I think you just create a new pension commission, that's all, interlocal agreement.
I'm just saying, but we have a hard time finding people to come to meetings.
But remember, you got 3 towns, so you
Already.
take the pension.
Oh, you're saying one and one, or yeah, you just take a subset from each town?
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, the pension committee just doesn't,
Sure.
I do all the work for the pension committee. They
Sometimes
just
you-
meet and they tell, and I go and do it. I pay the people. They don't do anything with that.
Or do we do it through? our
I mean, they
town
just keep
treasurer?
the paperwork.
What a great idea, Rick. Did we
Yeah.
get this to the town
No
Alright.
treasurer?
problem.
Oh, did his hand go up?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
it.
There you go. Hey,
He
there
said
you
he
go.
dumped it
Hey,
down
how
for
are
the
you?
town. Right
There you
say,
go.
yeah, we got it
Alright.
in video.
Motion carries.
Motion
So-
carries. That's so moved.
But so we'll work on the whole pension issue and.
Yeah.
Well, and you also need to
obviously
find
touch.
clearly this line item here in the
Yeah,
pension
and what the,
district 150 is.
Oh, that's
Region
not
twenty's
really close to me.
idea of what they're gonna do with those funds.
Yeah, that's a Scott.
But everyone else knows, obviously, in the paper and, the $1.9 million current deficit, I don't know if that's grown since the last time they
No.
put something out there.
No.
We're on tap for, obviously 14.7% of that. And then the debt that we agreed to apparently take out a loan for, and now what's the interest on the loan? 6-7%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather high. That's another 14.7% for the town. I don't know if there's any thoughts on paying that loan off,
No.
one-time payment? I mean, you'd save a lot of money at 7%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did an amortization schedule for Region 20, looking at in terms of the different years and how much we would save. I mean, if we can do it, that's what my recommendation would be. It's just like, here it is. Be done with it.
A lot of money, but
I mean, Scott, you're on finance. I can't, I mean, we talked about like trying to get this deficit done and we can't get off the ground. So I don't know where we're at or what we're doing with it. Is there any movement in finance or do you see any movement there?
Well, they were
For-
also trying to, correct me if I'm wrong here, Scott, but the Board of Ed was looking to get startup costs from,
the state.
They're
the
looking.
state.
Yeah,
well,
1.5
what is
million.
that?
right.
I mean, the 1.5 million they're looking to get, but I
I
don't
don't
think
know if
you
that's
can,
gonna,
you can't move forward with that because
Right.
the state could take 3 years to decide on that. So, I mean, we have to look at worst case scenario, and if it comes through,
Understood.
bonus.
Oh, yeah. No, that's exactly, Tracy, you're absolutely right. You got to build a budget under the assumption you're not getting that, and hopefully we do. So,
Hey, was it true that if we roll the monies over from Region 20 into the next fiscal year, that we're on the hook for that percentage-based gain through this, remember the state loan where they let us bump down 5%? So are we, so
Yes.
does that set a new baseline for the Region 20 budget coming to us this year?
Yes.
yeah, it would. No, it would.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
we
that's why,
can't- we can't go
so-
backwards.
no, so what I'm trying to do is like no more than, the original budget plus where we are right now. I mean, because coming up for 25, 26, the unions guaranteed a 4.25% raise, and that's like $1.8 million, and then a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm trying to get them to figure out a way to absorb that $1.8 million into the current budget. So, I'm trying to keep it at like I think the original budget plus the deficit we're at is like a 3.6% increase. I mean, if we can get it there or less, I think we're doing really well.
Yeah, because if we don't pay it up front with a one season hit, then we're gonna be absolutely, that'll be the baseline Region 20 budget shoved down our throats for years. And we can only drop 5% for state statute, right? For the school budget, the district budget.
I don't think you can.
No,
drop it.
you can't drop it all.
You drop
Oh,
it
I thought
all.
there was a limit.
No, there's no drop.
There's some reasons that,
Well, yeah, there's reasons in
criteria
it.
that you meet, if the drop in student population, things like
Yeah.
that.
Close-
If you meet
yeah.
certain Things
It's
you
not
can do
easy.
that.
Yeah, there has to be certain criteria met to be able to drop the budget.
Right.
It's
Right
gonna
now,
crush
the
all three
budget,
towns.
right now, the budget as it stands, or what they're working on, has got that 1.9 split. 3 years down the road, 4 years, how long does it go in?
It wasn't
500,000?
wasn't 1.9.
No, it's
Hey.
upside down. So what they're
It was
doing
spread out.
right now is saying, we're gonna kick the can down the road, so they're
But not all of it.
adding. What they're doing right now
Yes.
is adding $500,000 right off the bat till next year's budget. They're rolling the 1.9.
Yeah.
So they're doing that for the next 3 years. So you've messed
But
the
it's the same
baseline.
end product. At the end of 3
I'm
years,
trying,
it's still
I-
as high as it was gonna.
Yeah, but guys, we're like, honestly, I haven't pushed that agenda yet, just because we're so early in this budget process. We're gonna know more once we get into like the personnel part. I mean, that's the driving force behind this whole thing in terms of like, class size, not class sizes, number of sections, number of teachers needed. I mean, I'm hopeful that, what we saw last meeting I was not impressed with, and so I'm hoping that we get a little bit more detail. Been asking for it, so we'll see. I mean, I think this discussion right now is kind of premature because there isn't enough information, not to like stop the conversation, because I think it's important to have. I mean, but my bigger thing is to Tom's point about, that do we want to fund any of that, what we owe of that 1.9, or do we want to be part of that loan?
Can we actually,
Well, what were we?
actually fund it if no one else does? Cause then one will still be charged every year.
I don't know if we can.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't see
Yeah,
why we
because-
could. I don't see why we couldn't. I mean,
Well, cause we
Well,
have $285,000.
I don't know if we would, if
Interlocal
we could.
agreement with the other towns saying that we're prepaying our side if we have the financial means to do it.
Yeah,
I
but I
don't-
think, but if
I
it's in the
think-
budget, how would you separate what Morris pays?
I don't think we can.
If it's a line
well,
item.
no, it's a smaller loan then. I
Right.
mean, basically it's a smaller loan, and then you're paying dividing instead of 4 towns, it's 3 towns.
Which are we talking about? Are we talking about the loan, or are we talking about the over
loan.
expenditure? There's
The
There's
loan,
two.
The loan.
the
So,
loan.
I mean,
loan
we have
would-
$285,000 to pay our portion, plus
So
pay,
that's added to the 347, so now we're $500,000 in.
Minus the
before we-
175.
It's
Minus
170. Yeah.
But now you still got the 1.9. so-
No,
I'm saying
Yeah,
the 1.9 is 285,000, so.
that's
we
our
have-
that's our portion.
And then we
That's
have another 190 for Region 6 close.
Yeah, we talked-
The only thing we don't have an answer for is the pension, but right
Yeah.
now, we have to answer
2
the
meetings
pension.
ago, we had the same exact outcome. We're like, we don't know, it sounds really good to do it that way.
I don't think you
But
can, I don't, I
It'd be
mean,
nice
honestly,
to have Morris be proactive if we have the funds.
how do you do lines on that, Rick?
Well.
What's
we also
that?
have to reach out to the other towns and say, hey, are you
So-
interested in paying off this loan now instead of waiting?
Yeah,
Litchfield's the big one, because they're 55%. That would be really up to them if they're able to do that.
Yeah,
They're a
So-
million bucks.
Well, that's one of the conversations that I was hoping that we could, maybe everybody come to the table and
But the
sacrifice a
thing
little
is,
bit.
the other
and
towns are
just-
gonna take a bigger hit on the.
But we
Except for
can't,
Warren.
but
Yeah.
right now, Region 20 drives the bus.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever Region 20 decides to do, they're driving the bus. We can be proactive if you got 4 selectmen and 4 boards of finances moving the bus over here and saying, we wanna get rid of that debt. Region
Okay.
20 is not gonna be upset if we get proactive and do that, but nobody's, like, I was kind of trying to hope to put something together where everybody takes a hit and we get it done.
That's where the selectmen are gonna have to have.
Have they,
So,
have
I'm
they,
going back to-
secured the loan yet?
they have Litchfield Bancorp.
Yes,
And they determined the
Yes.
payments on it?
Well, I think it's a 20-year amortization, and I was trying to get it shorter. I mean, but they were looking at sort of cash flow, smaller payments in the beginning, and then kind of paying it off or refinancing it because of the
So we're
interest
already
rate being
looking
so
at-
high.
We're already looking at more than what we would owe right now if they didn't get the loan out. Cause, I mean, imagine
Yeah.
there was costs involved, and now we're starting with, interest.
Well, no, it was, we
Right.
only needed 1.8.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
well, yeah.
Oh,
but it
yeah.
doesn't-
Yeah.
Do you think we'll hear anything from the state before the budget?
no,
that's gonna be one of the last
No.
implementer bills, approved at the very
it's
end of this legislative session.
In July.
If it gets
If it
put
gets
in there
approved.
and approved, it comes out of committee, it gets in there.
Right.
It's not even,
Steve Harden is actually actively talking about it, so, keep your fingers crossed.
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, Tom, I just think, I mean, can you just poll start with the selectmen to see if there's their appetite to pay off that 1.8 million? I
Yeah.
mean, knowing that Denise,
So
I
if
mean,
we
with
were-
Litchfield's gonna take the biggest hit.
Yeah,
Right, so if we were to pay off the entire loan, it's 270.
you're at that, wait, Kip, are you talking, we're talking 2 different 1.9.
No, so the loan, the one point
But we
nine,
weren't talking about the loan. We were talking about the overage of 1.9. There's 2 1.9s.
are we not
We're
just
not-
talking about the loan?
We're talking about the loan. The loan.
The loan. The bonded loan
Oh, okay,
that went to
well-
referendum that all the towns,
If we could get out of.
Okay.
if we could get out of that by paying our entire portion of $279,300.
although Tracy does have a
But-
good point,
I
that
don't
if
wanna
you
kick
got
that
rid of the
can.
1.9 deficit,
Right,
it would not roll into next year.
Exactly.
not kick that can, because first of
Well,
all,
there's
you
that too.
stranglehold the
But-
500,000, you're gonna off the minimum base on it, get that, I mean, to me, getting that paid off, that's what I was looking at, then deal with the loan. What do you think?
Yeah, no, you could go either. Yeah, Tracy, you're right. I mean, that does make, more sense.
Right, cause what would our portion of the bond payment per year be?
Did you figure that, Scott, or? you didn't know?
I did. I mean, I could pull it up. I did do the schedule for it to see how much it was. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
But it's nowhere near 270.
Oh, no, not at all. No,
Right.
because no, it was small dollars, relatively
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah,
I mean, no, Tracy's absolutely right. I mean, if we
So-
could convince all 4 towns on the 1.9, it's better to fund the deficit.
debt.
So
The debt.
The
on
debt.
that.
the debt.
Avoid the MBR,
Yes,
for the next 20 years.
Ex-
perfect world.
Right,
That,
and
I mean,
then
that's
you
what I was
keep your,
talking
then you
about.
keep your school budget
Low.
lower.
Well, at least lower.
Well, if you're rolling 150.
Well, they're rolling
1.5.
500,000 in every
Right,
year
so-
for 3 years.
I think
So-
the only hard thing for them to chew on is the other 2 towns that have a lot more at stake. We were fiscally conservative last year. We were smart enough to put stuff aside. We kept our
Goshen's
15 plus
okay.
50. We put enough in reserve. Whereas Goshen and Litchfield probably are gonna take, if they did that, it'd be a big amount.
I think Goshen was more on board with that idea and Warren, but I don't know what, I have no idea if Litchfield's a
My
stomach.
friends in Goshen are happy.
Oh, no, but I think they want it cleared up. I mean, you also have a pretty deep board of finance, so they're looking at the same thing, like, they don't wanna roll this down the road.
Nobody
Nobody
does.
financially rolling this down the road and raising that budget is
What about also reducing the deficit before the end of the year? I mean,
Well,
trying,
there's that too.
trying,
it's like,
trying.
we're just knocking their heads against the wall here.
Well, you're trying, but I don't, I mean, you've been to the meetings, there's
Yeah.
not, people aren't receptive to making cuts. I mean, I'm shocked
I mean,
they got as
they
much as
don't-
we did.
They don't seem to think that the population will kind of revolt on them at the budget vote and knock it down 6 times
Yeah. and
until you
then
come
No,
back with
they
something
don't.
good.
I think they're under the impression, from what I can get, it's under the impression they were told that the towns have to pay and that's that. I don't think they understand that.
I know,
It's, could be voted down and they could go in, I also found out that they go into the school year where this budget is now. They don't get the, oops, we're over budget by 2 million, they don't get, so whatever it was
whatever
starting
passes is
in
last
June
year.
is what they go in with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that, 1.9, that's
Nice
off the
catch.
table. That bonding payment, that's off the table, those raises are off the table.
so I'm gonna bring it to the board of
Oh.
selectmen though, and I believe the other towns will as well. I haven't talked to all the other towns, but we would like a referendum. We will be
Yeah.
asking
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah,
a
Yeah.
referendum. And
Yeah,
if Region 20 does not agree to a referendum, we will petition a referendum.
yeah,
yeah.
So I hope they agree to it.
I think the townspeople
I think,
want that.
Well, if it goes anywhere near where the 1.9 bonding was, the only town that didn't really approve it was Morris, the other towns did.
what do you think they're, well, this is different.
I don't know.
But
This
that's
is
why,
bonding. This is now coming out of your
Yeah,
town
that's
pocket.
why I think people need to see all these other numbers and, expenses that
Right,
we're incurring
Yeah,
that are affecting our budgets, not only here in Morris, but Warren, Goshen, and Litchfield. I gotta get this out there to the people.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
once
Well,
once you
also-
dial them in and you know that they're kind of factual, then it'd be a good idea.
Because
Well, I
then
can't-
they
I
have to
can't
go
answer
into
any
the
questions.
budget and look at even a 4% increase, that's $4 million,
well,
more than 4 million.
and I think I saw the Goshen meeting where Bob Valentine said, that's like, this is what it means in real life.
Oh,
So, and he was pretty vocal about it, and I think as we start looking at our budget, keep this aside and add it on there. So when they come, when people come in and say, well, we need a new fire truck, or we need this, or we need that. You gotta start adding it on, and then the townspeople need to know that this is, to keep the town where we're at, your mill rate's gonna go to here.
mm-hmm.
And they need to put those things, we have to work at putting them together, cause people don't get. They ignore the school budget and then they come after us when there's
Well,
nothing
they
we
don't
can do.
understand, we control 17% of the actual budget at the end of the day.
But
At
I
the
think
town
we have to
level.
roll these
Right.
numbers
Well, right,
into
and I-
our spreadsheets as we
Yeah.
go, just worst case scenario, so that we know that we're dealing with potentially with the school budget. This kind of mill increase, you know what I mean?
Goshen said 11%, I think that's what I read.
Yes.
They were projecting
They were
11%
projecting 11%.
mill rate increase,
They were
Oof.
which
projecting
is,
like 3
which is a
mils,
lot. That'd be a lot to ask people here.
but they made it clear, I mean, Valentine made it clear what it's gonna be.
Sweet.
All right, so I think, if you could go back to the selectmen and see if they're interested in paying off this, or.
Well, I would hope, Region 20 would say if we could pay off this loan without a big penalty, quickly, they'd be, agreeable to it. I don't know.
Bond or
Well,
the
again,
other?
do you wanna
No,
pay off the
I'm
loan, or you
sorry,
wanna
yeah.
pay off the,
The deficit, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were talking about a supplemental budget at one time for the towns to do the deficit.
what
so-
some wanted was just build the towns.
yeah,
Well, yeah, we're just gonna build the towns, that was the narrative that I heard
But
at
I-
a couple Board of Ed meetings.
Some people said that.
Can't just do that.
Right now, it's set to roll into the next 3 years on the budget.
That sucks.
yeah, but we haven't even gone through the budget yet. So, I mean, yes, that's what they said, but we gotta push not to do that.
But Scott, can you take
Yeah, they don't do anything.
a deficit and roll it in 3 years?
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
You can
Carry
roll it-
deficits
you can
forward.
carry it forward.
Yeah.
In a
But how do you
real-
pay your
Yeah,
expenses?
how do you pay your vendors? How do you
Well,
pay-
here's the tricky part. they can do it, but we have to approve it. So you have to get enough townspeople to say, oh yeah, I wanna pay more. And I think, to your point, it was one thing to get rid of that Litchfield debt. The reason why, I mean, Scott and I voted against, they wanted to do the whole thing, they wanted to bond that 1.9.
Yeah,
And I didn't feel that you weren't
Well,
gonna get two loans for that.
it was a lot higher than 1.9 at one point. They were gonna, it was.
Well, it was 2 point whatever,
Three.
but they wanted to take that, but I don't think you're gonna get it, so when you go back to the town. When you go back to the taxpayers and you say, well, we have this, you know, huge budget increase, what's the increase? Sitting now, it's like 11 point something,
So, you know,
not gonna happen.
another way to look at this, instead of paying off the deficit, let them roll the deficit forward in whatever, 3 years, over 3 years. It's a gamble, but the towns could say no
Yeah,
and keep cutting this budget until it's an acceptable increase.
Yeah.
to the
well, yeah, I
towns.
mean, yeah, I
Well,
mean,
does
Yeah,
all
at the
three
end of the
towns,
day, we can always vote down, I mean, the townspeople can always vote down whatever budget it is. no
Yeah, but
matter
let
what.
Then you avoid that big increase in your MBR.
But now we're
Yeah.
at a point where now we have 4 towns. We have less vote than we had before, so it's a little
Yeah,
more.
but like
I
if-
don't see Litchfield
Well, it's a
jumping up and
gamble.
down.
It's more of a
for it.
gamble.
It's a
What?
gamble.
It's a
I don't see
gamble.
Litchfield
right,
jumping up and
but,
down.
so how does that vote work? Is
Every
it-
vote
One man, one
counts.
vote.
Right, so if if Warren, Morris and Goshen voted down, but there's more votes in total in Litchfield than it passes.
Yeah, if everyone came out in Litchfield that could vote and voted for it, then it would pass, because they have 55% of it.
But I don't think you have an
Oh,
appetite. in
they have more
Litchfield.
voters, I think, than we
They
have
more
combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a big gamble.
Yeah,
To gamble, I mean, it would be nice if we
but
could,
they may be facing both, if we pay off the deficit. I guess we're still paying for that loan through the budget, but that's not a hard swallow, I guess.
yeah, it's not as hard of a swallow, the way it's set up right now.
25 grand a year for 20 years.
I mean, I think but in terms of this budget, having a better sense of where we are, you know, we're a couple of meetings away. I mean, it's just moving slow. I gotta talk to Matt, who's chair of this. So,
Scott has more faith than I do.
no, I don't have faith, but you know, it's just, you know, it's just really looking at in terms of
What do you guys think?
where we're gonna be in terms of staffing and so forth. I mean, look,
Yeah, I don't,
am I nervous about it? I mean, the union increase has me nervous. There's just a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah,
well, that's it, I don't know where we're at now, I mean, we're trying to
Like the
get
biggest problem,
something
you
together.
pay it off, and then you move on to the next one, that's my opinion.
Absolutely, you don't incur future debt. You can
Right.
progress.
Right.
If you can knock something down now, you knock it down, and
Are you related to Susan?
Yeah.
So let's listen to him.
Yeah.
She was the CFO when I was at library,
Yeah.
or Charlotte,
yeah,
not CFO, but business manager, I think.
Mhm.
Well, that's kind of been the idea is that we're rolling it and if we don't have to roll
Yeah.
it, a deficit.
Yeah.
And it would be nice, we're trying, I mean, there's a lot of things in play, I think Scott's right, maybe some of this conversation is premature,
Oh,
cause there's a lot of things in play. And it just hasn't gotten anywhere, I mean, it's frustrating, but we
Yeah.
don't have.
Yeah.
The clear path.
I
Yeah,
kinda
when we
wonder,
have these conversations, it helps me have conversations with people that hit me up
Down the street.
on the street.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I mean, but I do,
Yeah.
look, I'm feeling more comfort. I mean, now that we've got Julie on board, I mean, finally we have somebody digging between Julie and Tom. I mean, really digging in. And I mean, to Julia's credit, she came to the first meeting, you know, with some creative ideas in terms of like, you know, how to reduce some costs and so forth. So, I mean, I do feel like we're moving the needle.
well, I heard, the problem with, trying to pay off this deficit right now, remember when we were talking about bonding for it?
Yeah.
We're getting a loan for it, and
Right.
people were like, no, make cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now we're
Yeah.
gonna bring back that same number to them,
And
Yeah.
they're gonna-
and they're gonna say, no,
and
Yeah.
that
Make
may-
cuts.
They may do it, I mean, that,
Well, again, I think it was 2.3 million. that
Yeah.
they were- So they did make cuts.
yeah, but.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's like 1.776 or something, but
when you add 22 positions outside of the budget,
Mhm.
that's not making cuts. That's adding.
you're preaching.
I mean, we're trying, I can say that there's a lot of things in motion right now, however, you've all seen the Board of Ed meeting.
Yeah.
So it may just be, it may come down to vote.
It'll be interesting this, because I would imagine you have to pass this in all 3 towns, or all 4
I
towns.
think it's one man, one vote.
No, but to pay off this,
The
deficit,
deficit,
that'd be probably a referendum.
Mm-hmm.
I,
It wouldn't be a town
yeah, you'd
meeting.
have to do a supplemental tax. You'd have to vote for a supplemental tax, I think, right?
Or if we, you know,
Roll it out.
rundowns.
But how do
Yeah,
we
so
even,
that-
like, that's the other thing. We talk about like the 127,000 payment. All these have to be voted on,
Oh,
don't they?
Yeah,
So I mean,
our
whatever we do,
payments, we can agree to pay it. 'Cause
But can
we
we-
owe our share, and if the other towns don't wanna pay their share, we're still obligated to pay
but
it.
like what we owe for Region 6, 127.
Yeah.
Can we just pay that, or do we have to go to a town meeting and convince
meeting,
people?
town
Yeah, we have to go to town meeting.
Not a referendum, but a town meeting.
Yeah.
With 4 people showing up.
Have all 3 towns go
Oh,
to town
you
meeting.
might find more than that. You haven't played, raised their
I've just
tax
been the
dollars
last,
yet.
I've just been to the last
I ain't
few
seen a
town
hard time
meetings.
yet, they'll come out.
But it's sad that this is money for vendors that haven't been paid since when, you know?
But I mean.
And are those the same vendors we're using in Region 20? Cause if we're not paying them for Region 6, why would they continue to do business with us at Region 20?
That's Region 20.
That's a good contract.
Yeah,
They probably have those contracts for decades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, unfortunately, I
But
don't think. there's
I
really-
don't wanna find out the hard way.
And there's nothing we can do about it quickly. We just got this, I mean, what is it, February, you met yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have we been waiting for these numbers? And now Litchfield's looking for, rumor has it,
Forensic audit.
forensic audit. So we may be doing nothing for a minute.
So that doesn't preclude us from, as a group, just working on our town budget and
No,
chugging
No.
along.
No.
But once we, I mean, we have our budget dialed in, then we get the numbers from them, and not much to say about it once Region 20 decides what they're doing and the towns with the selecting.
Well,
I
but we,
think we dial this
do,
into ours so that we know as we go along.
Absolutely, yeah, we can
We keep
project
these
out.
numbers.
Yeah.
In part of our budget, so we know
Yeah.
when we make a decision here, if all, this we have to pay, that's what's gonna affect the mill rate, cause that's what they're gonna
right,
look
So-
at with us.
so Tom,
And they'll hang us for
the
it.
3 Morris,
Yeah.
the 381 vendor, is that 127 that's owed by Morris? Is that like
Yes.
that's a pretty fixed number?
He felt that was a pretty close figure.
And then the pension is sort of a little bit still up in the air.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then the one-time payment to Litchfield,
That's,
Yep.
that's a done, we need to pay that, right?
Yeah,
well, yeah,
I mean, that's, so like, should we get rid of those things sooner than later?
that's what I was thinking. If you do the one,
Take the 170 that's.
the 127 plus the 67 and pay that off.
Well, there goes our 175 we put aside in reserve.
It's
Yeah,
something
which
they
is good.
never should have given back, in hindsight. of
In
course.
hindsight, but they promised it
Yeah,
for the 2 years.
well, the good news is it's sitting in an account
Absolutely.
that is not.
the bad news is we need $350,000.
Well, that only, and that'll keep us, we'll still be above we'll be at what, a little under or a little under 14% on our reserve,
Yeah.
which we,
If there
Yeah,
was
whatever makes sense.
other things, I don't know if Dave Capoletti talked about some of these payments and such.
so if we paid something out of capital like that, or if we paid something out, like,
Contingency.
balance.
Contingency.
Or fund balance.
would we have to do a town vote on it?
Mhm.
That'd
Yeah.
have to
Gotta
be
come out of
explained
fund
out pretty,
balance.
pretty
Anything
well.
over 20.
Right.
And these
Um,
are clearly overfunded.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know if there's a big, I don't know, I mean, you just had this conversation yesterday, so I don't even know if the other towns have digested this yet.
Yeah, I think Goshen is having a meeting today, the selectmen's meeting.
It's like, yeah,
And, I'll ask, and definitely Litchfield obviously is a real big part of this, and see what, they wanna do, how they wanna.
Well, if they're 50 some odd percent, then
Yeah.
they're got a bigger chunk.
The only thing, at least they're getting 202,000 from Region 6, it helps pay.
they
that.
also, I think, got 2 million back from or no, what was it, somebody said. 2 something back, I don't know, whatever, they
Well,
might.
the
be
1.9,
Well, that was their debt that they had to pay.
I know.
No,
now
they
it's
got
gone.
money, no,
Hmm.
we got money back, but Litchfield got money back too, when they closed out their capital account, I don't remember
Oh.
what it was. But they might be amenable, I don't know the Board of Finance, and I don't know how deep they are, you know, what the depth of the board is. There's an argument for getting rid of it, and there's an argument for keeping the budget down going in. Without just throwing this at it, because then if something happened, you get no more money, you know?
Rick, do you know what's in our fund balance currently?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like 1.8, 1.9. I mean, honestly, guys, we're in great shape as far as monies to get rid of stuff if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We basically, we had a rerun of the money obviously we're not gonna be able to prop up the budget with moving money over from fund balance to lower the mill rate, because we might have to spend it on education, but I think we're still gonna have like $450,000 plus the 175. So we got I'm gonna say we got somewhere around $650,000 in reserve that will still keep us at 12 to 14%. I mean,
You might-
all in all, it just thinks we have to give it to give it to the school.
Mhm.
God bless you.
Mhm.
We've got some,
And I mean, honestly, too, is if the budget goes up,
you get good to up on the mill.
if the budget goes up 3.5 million, it's basically we're gonna be paying the same education we paid in 2023.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all the savings of going is just gonna put us back to the same cost we had since we're only 14%.
Mill rate too.
Yeah.
$700,000.
Well, a mill's $400,000, a little bit over 400,000. So yeah, we'll go up 1 mil.
Well, I think
We've
you're
been
gonna go up more than
increasing for
one.
the past 3
Rick, I
years.
think you're gonna go up, you're gonna probably be looking close to two. By the time you're done, if things don't change with the school going into it.
People know that, time to put in the budget.
So,
Okay.
let's put money in that too.
Any other,
Thinking back.
Updates?
Updates?
Working on a steep grant, but I'm not, depending on what the governor does, they put in some language about steep grants, whereas they would not allow a town that already has one out pending, which we do, to apply for another one until they use up the first one.
Mm.
So we have a steep grant out, $500,000 for John White Road Bridge
Right.
right now. We're not looking at probably doing that project until 2026. So I'm hoping that language goes away, because, he put out his budget and it's got all these different things, but it all gets changed by the time it's, paper. So still gonna apply for the steep grant, and if we get it, we get it.
what would that be for?
Recreational courts down at the Morristown Beach.
Okay.
I think, I was looking over the years, how much we've done on roads and bridges.
Mhm.
It's time to put something back into
The
something
town.
people can really enjoy.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
What did we say, 60 grand?
Hmm?
What was it? How much was that?
Looking for like the 2 courts, it's about 140,000.
And then we be on, the hook for how much are
If you do it through a steep grant, depends what you apply for. They like to see a 20% match.
Okay.
So. Other programs we're doing are the TRIP program for Looking Glass Hill Road to help rebuild that. You can get awarded up to 2.5 million, but it is was that a 10% match, Rick, do you remember, or 20?
I think it was 20.
Yeah, they
not
changed
sure.
it. They went from 100%, coverage, they pulled back and made it a 20% match.
So the
So-
town has to pay 20%?
Even if we get awarded 2.5, we wouldn't accept it. We would do what we could do, with the money that we get, and then apply for money in the future to finish it. That's all. They've started work on that already, the town crew, so they're getting stuff done that we won't have to use funds for in the future. So that's a positive. Looking at a phone system here, go voice over internet. Initially, I thought it's a good savings month to month. Probably close to half of what we're paying now. I think we're paying close to $700 a month for phones
Jesus.
through Frontier. This company does voice over internet. We purchase all the new phones at one-time cost, one-time installation setup.
Yeah.
And just be done with it. And it's a much better system. Actually have caller ID, which everyone's screaming for. And it would save us money every month. We thought we did a good job, cutting down our Frontier bill there for a second, and then they hit us with our charges. I mean, it was crazy. And then just the budgets are coming in. I've not seen anything huge. And I think
Yeah, that's what I
everyone
was gonna
realizes
ask about.
the temperature here, they realize with Region 20, you know, we gotta just kind of maintain hopefully what we have. And, but it's, they're coming in, we have to see what the revenue will be, and that'll be a while, you know. We're waiting on insurance as well, medical insurance, see what that is.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Is there, what's the town employee or, union? Is that an increase this year again?
For pay,
Yeah,
is it 3 this year, Rick? Do you remember?
Either 2.75 or 3.
I thought it was 2.
Nothing crazy.
No. And not 4.25.
So
So,
capital projects, nothing crazy, no roofs,
uh,
generators.
no, we're trying to just work on that road and, obviously, the chip sealing is, you know, what he wants to do versus the money's available. He's gonna have to cut back again, and I just gotta be careful and do the right roads and,
Mhm.
you know, you don't want, we did Smoky Hollow, 5 years ago or so. It really should get chip sealed, even though it's only 5 years old. Cause you wanna prevent that cracking from getting worse and everything else, so he's looking really hard at that. I don't see any big equipment purchases this year, from what I remember.
No, but we're slowly putting money away.
Yeah, we're still, hopefully, we can still keep putting that money away for utility vehicle, utility trucks and, highway trucks and.
Yeah.
Way in the future, fire engines. So. yeah,
Okay,
But nothing big.
okay, any other comments from me? I see no public, so no public comment. So at 7:58, I call a meeting to adjourn.
Just like that.